Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and if you follow me, you know I love to keep the hype alive. I love talking about all cool upcoming games. I love celebrating video gaming as a whole, as a community, going to these events. You know, I just enjoy having fun, but sometimes, well, reviewers, we gotta be critical. And here, with my specialty being online games, especially free-to-play games, I'm gonna have to slam it down here. Slap out some sadness with this criticism, which is, well, 5 games that I found to be in a failing state, are not doing as good as well as they should, and some of them most likely going to be shutting down or discontinuing their current service in some way, somehow changing monetization. Really, honestly, it's just the future is uncertain for these titles. And yet, I actually enjoyed every single one of these games that I did play and I did cover on this channel. So I'm throwing it out there. I liked these games. I love gaming, but I don't know. These games are just a little bit shaky. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. But here we go. Okay, so the first game that we're going to be mentioning here is Ironsight. This is a Call of Duty clone that I actually had so much fun with. I did multiple videos. I did a first look, did a first impression, and I streamed it. And yes, it is a Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2-ish, or really kind of Black Ops-y clone, but it was done very well, and frankly, probably the best Call of Duty-like experience on PC. Now, the thing is, Ironsight didn't launch on Steam, which I think could actually bring this back around. That's happened a number of times with these type of titles, especially these Chinese free-to-play shooters that emulate, you know, Counter-Strike or Call of Duty. Whenever they do launch on Steam, like Counter-Strike Next on Zombies, it actually does really well for itself, so it can turn around. But whenever Ironsight launched, everyone was hyped for it. There was a lot of YouTubers covering it, a lot of people having fun with it, and overall it was a pretty fair and just a fun game. But then they kind of just stopped promoting it. They kind of stopped updating it, and I think there was a new update announced recently, but all in all, they didn't keep the hype alive, and once it drops, it falls. So Ironsight, an awesome, yes, clone-ish game, but fantastically well-produced, that just wasn't well-published, it seems. Next up, talking about MapleStory 2. Now, this is lower on the list because I think it could still maybe come around with an expansion or so, but MapleStory 2 is now receiving more mixed reviews. You can also clearly see on Steam that it's got less and less players actually playing it, and significantly so for how hyped this game was. Obviously, MapleStory originally is one of the most popular games, period, on the planet. And maybe even still, actually, especially with the mobile ports, but MapleStory 2 looked really cutesy, and it looked like it was very much in that spirit. You know, really promoting mini games and a lot of creativity, but it seems like they kind of dipped into a lot of different areas with this game. Like, there's dungeon diving, there's supposed to be a competitive nature to it to an extent, but there are also these mini games, and there's ways for players to create content in the game, and all that sounds cool, but it's like there's not enough of any one thing to do in this game. And I think unless you're totally in love with MapleStory 2 as a whole, which most people aren't for most games, you're not really going to find a niche thing to do here and consistently play, which you kind of need as a games as a service, as a game that you're kind of supposed to sort of second life in. So MapleStory 2 is an adorable game, but it's also really small and yeah, polished well and kept well, but you know, it's kind of like a mini MMO, an MMO light, which it is truly. It's not a full MMO as well, but you know, I think it could have, you know, more mini games, more, you know, expand the dungeons, give us more and more. I think more people would continue to play, but at this point, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna find it worth it. Number 3, for the tragedy, I'm gonna put down Dauntless. Dauntless, man, we were excited for this one, but Monster Hunter World kind of entirely overshadowed it. That Colossus had Dauntless probably shaking in their boots. No, I mean, they were still going to be the free-to-play Monster Hunter, right? And that's what they are. They're the free-to-play Monster Hunter on PC. I mean, Monster Hunter World came to PC too. So, like, it's a cool game. It's fun, and it definitely has some differences to Monster Hunter. But in most ways that makes it different, I think it's really just kind of makes it lesser at the moment. It's really lacking a lot of content. It's really lacking a lot of advertising power, which is going to be the case for pretty much all of these games. And I really do appreciate the end game for Dauntless, which is more of this sort of MMO or dungeon-inspired encounters, more fantasy, more magical type creatures than what you see in direct Monster Hunter games and Monster Hunter counters. So it's interesting, but a lot of the weapons are cloned in a lot of ways. A lot of the mechanics are very samey. And yeah, you know, that can work for a lot of games. You know, you can have a clone, it can work fantastically. Even if it's, you know, same pricing scheme, really. But for Dauntless, it's just, Monster Hunter World really is just kind of that good, that big, that massive. And you would think it would ride the hype wave with it, but they haven't advertised it, really. They haven't really pushed it. The content is trickling out. It failed the wave, really. All right, number 2, I have Quake Champions. Now, it's not number 1 because, like, I kind of saw this failing. A lot of people saw this failing because it's an arena shooter. The thing was, I was really excited for it because it's freaking Quake Champions, right? Oh my god, did this game just not live up to any hype whatsoever? It's had some players during some free events, during some beta times. It is on Steam, actually. You can play it on Steam, which was a boon for a little bit, but all in all, this game kind of alienates some people. So you have Paladins and you have Overwatch that are really the kings of the hero shooter genre at the moment, and both of those are very similar games. So you maybe think Quake Champions would have some room, but the thing is like, for Champions, I don't know, it doesn't quite work because everyone is still using the same weapons. I know there's different abilities and things, but I don't think the Champions are really highlighted enough. And for the most part, it is a Quake game. And you just with the alienation of the Champions, which sucks because, you know, the truth is that mostly being an arena shooter, mostly being Quake at its core, you know what? That's actually not very popular anymore. It's tried and true, not bad design, but it's not really innovative design. Of course, Mexican Champions, that was kind of cool, but then you also have the slew of like performance issues and balancing issues. And so you have all these cool ideas on paper that it should work, but it kind of doesn't work. You know, whenever you're actually playing the game consistently over hours and hours, it's just not too appealing. I was hoping that this would have sort of like a Mortal Kombat sort of aesthetic compared to, you know, like Street Fighter's really cartoon, then you got your Mortal Kombats. I was hoping that we'd have our Overwatch and then we could have Quake Champions, but it looks like, just like in every way and everything that it tried to do, it really just kind of fell short. As an arena shooter, as a hero shooter, as a shooter, competitive shooter, period, like where's the tournaments? Like, where is that push? Again, where's the advertising for this game? I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. You see Overwatch is competitive, even freaking Paladin's competitive, right? High-Res is actually pretty memey, pretty silly. So anyways, Quake Champions, yeah, in every way, in every direction that it tried to go in, it just seems like it's just a little bit short. And since this is a game that it's supposed to have a hardcore niche following, that is incredibly detrimental. And now our number 1 failed free-to-play game is going to be Realm Royale. Now, this one, look, I just gave High-Res props for advertising, for promotion, for being memey, and for following trends, and they're really smart and good at it, but they're also really good at killing their own games, or just leaving them in the dust, which maybe is how they survived as a company, but it's really sad because Realm Royale is like their newest game, and it had the biggest, most massive popularity instantaneously. And it was genuinely, in my opinion, pretty much their best game. Like, it was out of the gate fun. I loved it. I think we all loved it. And then they squandered that. They squandered that by, I don't know, not listening to the community, not really realizing what they had on their hands. They obviously just kind of copy-pasted Paladins into a Battle Royale formula. Surprisingly, it freaking worked amazingly. And then they just dumpstered it. They just did a lot of balance tweaks, a lot of changes, and everyone just lost interest instantaneously, which it's still technically a very unique game, though my hopes are very high for a game called Spellbreak to really reign in the crown of magical BR game. But Realm Royale is still an interesting game. It's still fun. I think they've been trying to turn it around, but Paladins originally, you know, it still has its popularity. Realm Royale is a separate game, waning and just, it completely cliffed it down. It dropped entirely in population and popularity. And I think it's basically because High-Res just honestly, really for most of their games, they really don't know what they're doing. They get lucky, they do a quantity over quality thing that might, you know, stir up some jimmies, but really that, I actually like that. You know, spam gods in Smite, spam champions, spam weird game modes, that stuff is fun, that's cool. And in Realm Royale, you just threw it out there, awesome! But then instead of giving us like additive things, additive game modes, additive classes, you try to tweak and balance and make it, I don't know. The truth is, you don't know how to make a quality game. I don't know what to say. That's basically it. And surprisingly enough, we actually really like quality battle royales. Yeah, it was a meme. It was a fad for a little bit, but you can clearly see the ones that are polished or continuously polishing, have the competitions, have the tournaments, the ones that are taking themselves seriously, Fortnite, PUBG, and even freaking Ring of Elysium, those are the games that are going far and beyond. Realm Royale, your time's up. So guys, that's it. Those are the games, the 5 games that I really loved, I enjoyed, I had so much fun doing those videos, and I'm sure you guys are actually, some of you are still playing these games and having fun, and more power to you. But for most of us, I can't recommend that. As a critic, as a reviewer, I can't say, hey, dude, go play this game because everyone's loving it, everyone's jamming to it, there's teams, there's competition, stuff like that. But if you can appreciate free-to-play games because there's no barrier to entry, that there's not too much of a time investment needed for these games, then go and have fun. Live it while you can. I'm such a fan of that. You don't need to play a game and live in a game for years and years, to get worth out of it, especially if it's free. So, go and have your fun. That's all I can ask. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. My name's Skylent, and regardless, keep the hype alive. And I'll see you again next time.